Welcome back, racers, to another video on Gran Turismo. We are at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit layout in the new MX-5 Roadster touring car, which was one of the cars which was added in the last free update. So, first time driving these cars, what's it going to be like? They are in the N200 category, which does seem a little bit weird, seeming that it's kind of a race car. A lot of arms were up in the air about that. Everyone was expecting it to go into the GR4 category, but no, it is in the N200 class, which makes it insanely overpowered, which we're going to talk about the balance of performance of this car in a little bit as we go around the Indy circuit, starting in 4th place then. And with 10 laps in the race as well, how are we going to fare in this one? So, Quintin and Ryan up the front, two very, very speedy boys. BenZZ in front of us and Neil behind us. So we're all going to have a little bit of a battle. Well, especially BenZZ and myself and Neil are going to fight it out. But we'll just leave those two plebs up front to go about their own business and worry about our own race. So a quick tour of the track coming into turn 1 then. A very sweeping corner as the elevation does change pretty dramatically. As you then come up to the tight right-hander, you can brake a little bit later just because you're braking uphill, so gravity is working in your favour. The car can get a little bit slidey coming out of there, and then a fast left-hander here, trying to get the power on as soon as possible. Try not to run wide onto the grass. You run wide onto the grass and you will get a penalty. A nice fast left-hander here, all flat out and coming into a sort of a double apex right here. So you brake early, trying to go out wide and then try and get on the power once again as soon as possible. Coming over that little bit of elevation, that little bit of a blip in the road does make the car very light and very prone to spinning and across the start-finish line. So that is a very short lap, actually setting the fastest lap of the race, as Ryan up front actually has a little bit of a penalty. But looking at the gap between us and BenZZ, nothing has really changed. Obviously everyone being in the same car, BOP being on, everyone's pretty even in terms of machinery, but it just comes down to driver ability. Once again, another purple sector, which is nice. Not sure where Neil is, of course. The replay feature in Gran Turismo doesn't allow for the time delta to be recorded for whatever reason. But we are staying a couple of tenths behind BenZZ there, and I think Neil is right on our tail as we actually see him there poking his face in with an absolutely fantastic livery. You see his lights pop up there as well. I don't know if we're going to look back, have a little check back at him at some point. There he is, look, flashing away those pop-up lights. Absolutely gorgeous feature of the Mazda MX-5. So a brief touch on the balance of performance, the BOP. So what BOP is supposed to do is make every car in that class pretty similar. So for example, we take the Mazda that we're driving right now, which is in the N200 class, and then we look at Speed Pro, who is in this race, and he's driving the Mini Cooper because he doesn't have the Mazda. What the BOP is supposed to do is to make the cars equal in terms of performance around a track. So if you're looking at our lap times, we are doing 53, 54 seconds per lap. If you look at Speed Pro, he's doing 57 seconds a lap. So the balance of performance is off. So it would suggest that the balance of performance for this car is overpowered and probably does need to get nerfed at some point. Or the other cars are brought up to the balance of performance of this car. Anyway, that's just a little observation we made in the live stream the other day. On with the race, we are still that sort of same distance from BenZZ. I think we're closing just a little bit. Neil is still behind us, still poking his nose in on that last corner of the racetrack. And the two plebs up front still going at it. A nice purple sector there, but we do slide a little bit wide there, which is going to affect our run out of that corner. So on the 5th lap, the halfway point pretty much coming up as we cross the start-finish straight. Really confusing on that last corner. I didn't know whether to go wide and accelerate. I didn't know what gear to keep it in. It did seem like everyone went down to 2nd, then up to 3rd. So I think that was the fastest strat as we come onto the start-finish straight. Then the guys up front going too wide. Then Ryan deciding not to go for that move up into T1. as BenJit gets a nice run out of there, and look at that gap he's opened up between us and him as we come up into the hairpin now. Into second gear, trying to link it up, keep really tight and on the power as soon as possible without losing the back end of the car. Into this corner here, nice and smooth. Oh, but we get a massive slide on. Neil's actually going to give us a little bit of a tap there. Sorry, Neil. He gives a little flash of frustration as we look back at that beautiful Renown livery, obviously used on the old classic 787B. Into the final corner then, actually getting a nice run there, nice smooth acceleration out of the corner, still in the slipstream. Slipstream in N200 is absolutely vital as we go on to the 7th lap now, and that gap between us and BenJit just broke away from us a little bit over that lap. So the last couple of laps we've really got to pull our stuff together. Oh, as BenJit just gets a little bit outsourced there, just dipping a toe or two into the sand, and that's really slowed him up and brought him back into our clutches, as obviously going around that corner he would have had a couple of dirty tyres, so lost a bit of traction. But coming out of this left-hander here, he's going to get a little bit of a slide, and we're going to get a much better exit, and that's going to put us up the inside of the CSX driver going into this fast left-hander. Are we going to keep it? No contact, no contact. There isn't any contact early on the brakes. Going to go for that cutback, that later apex earlier on the power, and that's going to put us up the inside onto the start-finish straight. Looking back at Neil, he's just dropping back as BenJit just tries to squeeze us over there, and now it's our time to squeeze, just angling our car to the outside so we get the best possible line through T1. And insanely close driving, nearly coming to blows twice there and a third time on the exit, but we do stay safe and we are not dead as we're up the inside of the driver here. And is he going to hold it around the outside? Yes, he is. He still has that nose, which is going to put him on the inside for this corner. Going to go for the cutback, but not executing it well enough, and that is going to be BenJit in third, us in fourth. A little flash of the hazard lights in front of us saying nice driving, very clean stuff. That was impressive. And now we can get back on with the race as we see Neil has closed the gap due to our fighting, and the leaders also have got away a little bit. Always when you're fighting like that, 2 by 2, going through corners, you're always going to slow yourself down, which is obviously bad for you, but it does benefit the drivers around you. So you do have to keep that in mind as Neil is very close to us going into T1. Is he going to throw up the inside? No, he's not. He's going to stay back as BenJit goes really wide, and that's going to be his race over. Absolutely heartbreak for him. He had driven so well the previous laps in this race, but couldn't quite keep it together in the last 2 laps. That is the consistency. One moment in laps of concentration can throw away a podium finish. That's going to hand us the 3rd place. All we've got to do now is be consistent and keep Neil at bay as we set another purple sector there. So even though we are going towards the end of the race, still pushing, still increasing our time, probably getting used to the car as well as we come onto the start-finish straight, and we're actually going to jump on with the plebs in front of us as 3rd place is pretty much sealed for us. And here we go, on board with Ryan then and Quinton, the 2 fast boys at the front of the race. What are they going to do on the final lap? Quinton then on the inside, he's just got to do a very, very defensive lap as he covers the inside on that corner. He's got the inside for the left here, can switch over to that racing line so we can get the fastest possible exit coming out there. And a couple of corners left to go then. He just has to remain defensive in order to keep Ryan at bay. He's going to cover the inside here. Very, very, very smart play. Just being defensive, just blocking. Well, not blocking, just strategically placing his car on the inside of the corner. And that is going to seal the victory for Quinton over Ryan. Very good racing, lads. As we then switch back to us coming across the line in 3rd, Neil in 4th, and BenJit in 5th. Really, really good racing from everyone there. Neil just couldn't find that little bit of pace to get past us, and BenJit obviously making that error towards the end of the race. Some fantastic racing on show for you there. I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you again for watching, liking and subscribing, and a big thank you to the channel members, the Jev Pit crew, for supporting the channel as you do, and we'll see you in the next one.